What's goody? Hey man, so within the last, I think it was like 24 hours, this happened yesterday, and I think it was within the last 24 hours ish, we had another black head coach get fired in the NFL. And when it happened to Gerard Mayo of the Patriots and everything like that, I kind of didn't really bring the race thing into it too much. I talked about it a little bit, but I didn't bring it into there too much because I'm thinking this might just be a Patriots thing. This might just be a Robert Kraft thing. This isn't too big of a deal. We're not going to overhate or talk about like racism in the whole league or anything like that. And in that video, I even brought up how guys like Antonio Pierce or guys like Gerard Mayo were expected to do so much with so little, right? Literally perfect timing because the very next day, the Raiders go and fire head coach Antonio Pierce. And let me tell you, this is another one of those moves that just to me is absolutely idiotic. And let me tell you why. Antonio Pierce was in a similar situation to the one that Gerard Mayo was in, where he was brought in. Now his was a little different because he was brought in the middle of last year when he was the interim head coach for Josh McDaniels, who got fired or whatever his name was. I'm pretty sure that was his name. He got fired. He was ass. He got way too long at the job. But we'll talk about that in a second. He got fired. They brought in him. They brought in Antonio Pierce. Antonio Pierce did a good job for the few weeks that he was there in the second half of the season. People were impressed with what he did, impressed enough for them to name him the head coach for this upcoming year. Going into this season, his quarterback options were Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. Halfway through the season, Devontae Adams wanted to be traded. Devontae Adams got traded. Okay. For I think it was literally just a 5th round pick and nothing else. So that's insane in and of itself. The dog's chewing on his bone. I hope y'all can't hear that. But anyways, that was insane in and of itself. And with that team, keep in mind, the team was also in a very tough division. In a division where the Broncos are 10-7 and made the playoffs, where the Chargers made the playoffs, and where the Chiefs are 16-1 and made the playoffs. Or 15-2 and made the playoffs, okay? Okay. In that division, with that lack of talent on his team, where this man's best receiver is Jacoby Myers, his best running back is, name him. What is his name? I think it's like Zamir White or something. Come on, bro. They lose Josh Jacobs in the offseason. He goes to Green Bay. His backup is a bum. No disrespect. I just don't watch a whole lot of the Raiders, so I'm just assuming. The offensive line, they lost their best offensive lineman. I believe he went to like the Jets or something like that. I'm not 100% sure. But they lost their like best offensive lineman. He was gone. Literally, this team was praying that Max Crosby and Brock Bowers could take them to the promised land. Keep in mind, Brock Bowers just had an offensive rookie of the year level season, which was something that not a whole lot of people thought was going to happen, especially not with the quarterback play in Las Vegas. So Antonio Pierce did that, also had Max Crosby going out there having one of the best seasons of his career, having a very, very good season, I'll say that at the very least. Which, you could just chalk that up to those guys being great players, but at the same time, we've seen great players have bad seasons because of bad coaching and bad schemes before. So we're going to go the same way that we give a whole lot of hate to those coaches when those players have bad seasons. I'm about to give a whole lot of credit to those coaches when those players have great seasons, okay? Antonio Pierce did that. Was obviously crucial in the development of some of these players, was obviously doing the best he could do with a lackluster roster. He got you a high pick, which, you know what I'm saying, was really the best that the Raiders could hope for this year, was just having a top 14 pick in the draft, which they do, because they were ass, and that was what the Raiders fans were hoping for. I don't think any Raiders fans came out here thinking this was about to be a playoff year with Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew being your starter quarterback, okay? I don't think any of you even thought you were going to get close to the playoffs, and if you did, you were delusional. So my question is, what was the point of firing the man if what were your expectations for him? If your expectations for this man were so unrealistic that it was, hey, get to 7 wins, get to 8 wins, be around a 500 team, make it to the playoffs, then you are freaking delusional if you're Mark Davis, the Raiders owner. You're delusional if you're the GM of the Raiders. You're delusional if you were a Raiders fan if that was your expectation. How could that have possibly been what you expected of that man? And with that fucking roster. So it's either one of two things. Either you had delusional expectations for the team and for Antonio Pierce, or you were going to fire him no matter what, and you didn't really give a damn about what he did unless he did something absolutely amazing by getting you to the playoffs, which would have literally had to have been a miracle. So my thing with these coaches is that with these organizations firing these black head coaches after giving them 1 year with a lackluster roster. It's not like these coaches had 1 year with a Tom Brady or a Patrick Mahomes or something, and they went 4-14 and they were 4-13 and they were absolutely ass. That didn't happen. It's not like these teams had absolutely insane rosters and they just underperformed. It's not like that. We can even bring up Robert Saleh. This man was a guy that people were calling to get fired. I myself was thinking about should he be fired? And the man gets fired, and look what happens afterwards. The team is significantly worse after he leaves. Aaron Rodgers is probably about to retire. Davante Adams is probably gone. Garrett Wilson is probably gone. And the team just looks significantly worse, and the Jets once again are looking like an absolute dumpster fire with no hope to giving no hope to any of their fans. That's another black head coach that was fired, and look what happened afterwards. I'm so interested to see what happens to the Patriots and the Raiders next year. And the messed up part about it is the Patriots could very well be better just because they have a young quarterback who is a rookie who's going to progress more than likely. So they could literally be a few games better next year, and the head coach would get all the credit for that, whoever it is. And then you got the Patriots tweeting out that they interviewed 2 black coaches for the new head coaching position. Don't do that. Don't be tweeting that out for trying to give us a little, trying to say, here you go, niggas, and trying to give us a little bit of happiness, trying to put us to the side and be like, hey, we interviewed him at least, so you can't be mad at us. Don't do that. I'm not asking for you to give these guys favoritism. I'm not saying that you should interview a black head coach every single time that a head coaching position is available just because he's black. I'm not saying that. I'm not asking for any preferential treatment. I'm not asking for anything like that. What I am asking for is the same way that you're willing to give sorry-ass coaches like Brandon Staley, Josh McDaniels, whoever else, Nathaniel Hackett, the way that you're willing to give these guys... Like, Nathaniel Hackett was a guy that got fired in a year, and he deserved it. That team had such high expectations, literally Super Bowl expectations. You were expected to compete with Mahomes in that AFC West division, and you were absolute garbage. Nathaniel Hackett deserves to be fired for that. But you still gave him more time than a lot of fans thought you should. And then even after you fired him, the man, because he's with Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers is so like in love with the man, he gets another job with the Jets, not as the head coach, but he gets the offensive coordinator job and everything like that. Bro, we cannot sit here and act like these coaches deserve these opportunities that they're getting, because guess what? Not all of them do. I saw Brandon Staley go up, I think it was 27 or 28 to nothing on the Jacksonville Jaguars in a wild card playoff game. I watched every single minute of the game, and guess what happened? They blew the lead, and this man still kept his job for the next year, even though they were ass the next year because he was an ass head coach. I watched Josh McDaniels make every single freaking mistake that a head coach could make, but just because he came from that Patriot way under Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, he got what, 2-3 years of a chance? Same with Brandon Staley, got 2-3 years of a chance? You can't give Antonio Pierce or Gerard Mayo 1 year with a significantly worse roster? Not one? Brandon Staley had Justin Herbert, a whole bunch of star-studded roster throughout, and they couldn't do a damn thing. And then you get John Harbaugh in there for 1 year. Is it John or Jim? I think it's Jim. You get Jim Harbaugh. It's Jim. You get Jim Harbaugh in there for 1 year, and guess what? They are a playoff team. And you could argue the team got worse going into this offseason, getting rid of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, or at least on paper, a lot of us thought it did. And he still goes out there with Lad motherfucking Conkey as his wide receiver 1, with his running back 1 tearing his ACL, I believe J.K. Dobbins tore his ACL again or something like that. And he still makes the playoff in a division where the Broncos made it and where the Chiefs lost 2 games, one of them being in the last week of the season where they sat every single starter. You cannot sit here and tell me that Brandon Staley wasn't the problem. But you didn't. But you gave enough time. You gave him enough time to figure out if he was the problem. More time than fans thought you should. A lot of fans thought you should, at least. You can't give that same respect if you're the Raiders to a guy like Antonio Pierce, who captivated your locker room at the end of last year. You can't give the same respect to a guy like Gerard Mayo, who you literally just hired after firing your greatest head coach of all time. You gave him 1 year, a year where you were expected to be ass, and guess what you were? Ass. And that's what happened. You give him 1 year, you don't give him a chance to see what he can do with at least a semi-talented roster. Like I said, I'm not the person that's going to bring race into every single thing, but I'm also not about to sit here and act stupid like we can't see the pattern that's been going on. All I'm asking for, NFL and you NFL owners, you NFL GMs, is give these black head coaches the same chance you give to sorry-ass coaches like Brandon Staley and Josh McDaniels. Please. Just give them a chance more than a year with a terrible roster. You're expecting these guys to turn shit into sugar. Like, what? Bro, I love y'all, bro. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for watching. You're about to see a few videos in this fit because I want to pre-record a few. So, yeah, bro, yeah.